Hey everybody, it's been a while. I was originally supposed to make a video about my college life, my freshman year of college, and I was gonna fall into like a part 2 with my sophomore year. That's not over yet, so it's still going. But I decided to do a video today about self-worth. Or like self-esteem, self-esteem. Let's start the video by defining self-esteem for ourselves. Self-esteem to me is just, loving yourself, being in tune with yourself, being in touch with yourself spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, you gotta stay strong. Let's go way back when. Let's go back to when I was a 12-year-old. Yeah. When I was 12 years old, I had really low self-esteem. Like I thought I couldn't do anything. I thought everything I did was just like worthless. Like, oh my gosh, I can't. Like I had this consistent thought in my head that I could not do anything. Like I had a consistent thought in my head that I couldn't. Over time, it progressively got worse for a little bit. Like I would say for my whole year being 12 into my teens, so like 13, 14, I would just live with this constant mentality that I couldn't achieve anything that I set my mind to. Eventually, I realized that this mentality was just overall destroying my own perception of myself. I would cry every night. I would complain about everything. I would be angry at people for no reason at all because I was angry at myself. And I realized that was starting to affect my friendships, my relationship with my family, and my relationship with myself. And so I figured that I was going to have to solve this. This is my own personal self journey, and this was the first self journey that I ever started in my life, basically. Like, other than literally living, this was the biggest journey I've ever started. So let's skip to 9th grade year. I forgot what age I was, but my 9th grade year, I had to switch high schools, and I wasn't a big fan of switching high schools. Like, everybody knows the new kid trope. They either get really liked or really disliked. And when I was at my old school, when I had to switch schools for 3rd grade year, I was really disliked. So I thought that the same exact thing was going to basically happen. I was going to be disliked by everybody. I was going to be hated. Yeah. When my parents told me that I had to switch schools, I literally flipped. I was like, is there anything I can do to stay? Like, can I just like stay with grandma? Cause she stayed closer to the school. And my parents were like, no, there's nothing you can do to stay there. Just say goodbye to your friends. I was devastated. I was like, no, I don't want to say goodbye to all of my friends. I don't want to say goodbye to the people that I've grown up with basically since 3rd grade. And they were like, well, you have to. Oh well. I had a good 3 months to enjoy the rest of the time I had with my friends, while also still kind of being depressed and still like just not doing well mentally. So I don't know, I didn't enjoy the time like I should have. Moving on into the new school. So I come in low self-esteem. My hair was a mess. My body was just not where I wanted it to be. I was a twig, and I, for the most part, did not talk to anybody. I didn't plan on making friends. I planned on just getting through high school and living my life from there. But the universe and God had other plans for me. I was a big art student, basically throughout my high school year until COVID happened. After COVID, I just fell out of love with art for some reason. But one of my first classes I took there was graphic design. And this is where I met my very first friend. I was sitting by myself for a really long time, and eventually this guy, he walks over to me, and he asked me like, hey, what are you drawing? Because we had to draw something for our graphic design class. And I tell him, because it, like, realistically, or not really, like, deep inside, I knew I was like a social person, but I just didn't want to be ridiculed. So I would tell him, and I would like try not to show too much of my personality. Eventually, me and this guy, we just like kept talking, and he gave me a piece of gum. Like, he just offered to give me a piece of gum, and so I was like, sure. And it kind of just blossomed from there. We also had the same homeroom. It was almost as if fate itself was just linking this connection. And after that, I was like, okay, I need to start making friends at this school. Like, I need to do something, because I can't just like be alone forever. Like, this is sad, this sucks. So I would sit with him and his friends at lunch, and this is where the self-esteem journey kind of began. All of these friends, they were involved in some type of sport, did some type of exercise. They did it all. Like, they were some of the top people socially. In terms of like intelligence, they were pretty up there. And yeah, I was like, I want to be like these people. I want to have what these people have. I already had good grades. I was a smart kid. But in terms of social life, I wanted to be known. And I made it known to myself that I wanted to be known. I made it known to myself that I wanted to be known by people. I watched these people like interact with people, and that in turn taught me how to interact with people. And I started caring about my looks a lot more. I basically started just like hyping myself up. Well, it started off as like them hyping me up, and then I would hype myself up after. During like the 3 months of me knowing them at that time, I would always try to say things to bring myself down. But they always made it apparent and known to everyone, including themselves and myself, that I am worth it and that I am my own special person. Them telling me this obviously had a positive impact on my personality, because eventually, once you lie to yourself enough, or once you tell yourself the truth enough, you will believe whatever you say. And eventually I was like, you know what, I am a good-looking person. I am smart. I am kind. I am this and that. I might be this now, but this can change. Like, at the time I was a twig, and now I'm not as much of a twig. But yeah, I started believing in myself, essentially. Like, and once you start believing in yourself, that's when you open up the gate of all these different possibilities for your life. Let's skip to my senior year. So my senior year, my self-esteem was at its highest. Well, not at its highest, but also not at its lowest. It was pretty high though. I was in several different clubs. I had played sports. I was in track and soccer. And I was pretty happy with like myself and where I was at. And some people will, and yeah, some people will come into your lives and try to bring down your self-esteem. But as long as you know that you are worth it, you do these things because you know you are worth it, then whatever they say does not matter in the slightest. So, my self-esteem in my senior year was just extraordinary. I made myself known to everybody, or not to everybody, but to most of my school at the time. Everybody knew who Jaden was. Everybody knew what Jaden did, who he was close with. Everybody just knew me, and I had like through my own rising of self-esteem and my own progress, I got exactly what I wished for in 9th grade. And anybody can get exactly what they wish for if they choose to show themselves enough and choose to just give power to what is good, if that makes sense. Give power to what is good, and good will come to you. Yeah? I like to tell my friends that I really lucked out in the friend lottery, because you really can't get any better than my friend group, in my opinion. Because like they tell you what's right, they tell you what's wrong, they hype you up, they make sure that you know you're loved, they don't let you talk yourself down, and if you are talking yourself down, they stop you. And it's not something we do. We bring each other up, and we set positive vibes for ourselves and for everybody around us. Like, we want to see the world prosper, the world succeed. We want to see people be happy with themselves. I personally want to see you be happy with yourself if you are struggling with your own self-esteem. I believe that every single person, regardless of anything, deserves peace and happiness for themselves, and for anybody around them, which is why I will constantly preach, hey, love yourself more than you love anything else. Love yourself more than anything else. It might feel selfish, but you have to love yourself more than anything in this world. Because I was talking to my friend about this once. You come into the world alone, or not really alone. You come into the world with like your parents, but you leave the world alone. And at the end of the day, you only have yourself. So why not love yourself and cherish yourself at the end? Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. This might be a little bit of a clunky video. I haven't done editing in a while, or really YouTube in a while, but I really just needed to get this off my mind, because I noticed just a lot of people not really loving themselves enough. And I think it's really important to just cherish yourself more than anything else. Your body is literally your temple, or is it, I don't know, but yeah, so love yourself and be happy. Love you guys.